What's happening, people? Back with another reaction, back with some more Ace of Base. And we're going back to The Bridge, 1995. Once again, big shout out to Adam for sharing their catalog, as well as Mikey and Pascal for always being down to talk Ace of Base tunes. And the next track we're going to listen to from The Bridge is Sera. Sera, whatever will be, will be. I don't expect it to play off of the melody of the classic song that I think has been performed by many a singer over the decades and generations, but ultimately the idea of the phrase is that many things are beyond our individual control, or at the very least we do not have total control over most things, even in our own lives, never mind, in wider and larger scopes and scales. So the idea of investing a great amount of stress or unease or sweating every potential outcome, even those only tangentially connected to you, is a recipe for psycho-emotional disaster, or at the very least, to beleaguer and encumber yourself with all sorts of worry and, again, stress that is ultimately not something that you're going to be able to unwind, because, again, we don't control everything, even in our own lives. So the idea of being more accepting of, where the chips fall, wherever they may, it feels like that's the essence of the phrase. Now, that's not to say that you acquiesce and you simply allow things to happen without endeavoring to produce outcomes more conducive to your own vision of life or happiness, whatever it may be. But again, knowing it, it's like the Serenity Prayer, knowing what you can change, understanding the limits of that, and being willing to accept what is beyond your control. It, again, feels like that's the essence. So let's see what Ace of Base does with all that. This is Ace of Base, the track is Sera, and it's from their 1995 album, The Bridge. Oh, feels like tidal, a coastal tide. Electricity. Like dual layered bass line. The guitar is sublime. I like that phrase, high time. Big bad world, the pain goes on and on. it sort of fits into their, you know, world famous sound style. You know, maybe not quite as heavy reggae vibes, but still a bit of that rhythm and still a bit of the feel of some of their major hits. And yeah, like, you know, there were times where I was like, is this third person or first person? Because, you know, like, she left home at 17 or something to that effect. But then she's like, you know, referring to it as herself. And so I feel like generally, surely it's like a narrative, you know, from the first person, even if like referenced from a third vantage point, if you will. But yeah, yeah, it sounds like she leaves home early and then she's living by herself, and it's, you know, she's lonely a lot of the time, and she ends up meeting people that maybe a guy she likes, but, you know, maybe not enough to take him home, and maybe that in part is about, you know, the worry that, like, if you're living at home by yourself and something goes bad in a situation like that, you know, maybe, you know, there's no way or no help or no refuge from what could turn into a really ugly situation. So again, knowing that behind the scenes, was it, I think it was Lynn, right, was who was, or there was a stalker looking for her, is that right? Either way, like, it was hard not to think of that context, which again, I apologize, I'm not remembering it in more detail, but hearing some of these lyrics about living at home, it like made me think of that. But ultimately, even if it's more just about emotions and, like, you know, you're sort of lonely, but then you don't want to like force yourself to be with someone, and maybe you do like someone's company, and maybe even like, you know, to flirt with them a bit, but, you know, bringing them home is a big sort of step, and, you know, again, things get more complicated at that point and they don't always go right. So I wonder, you know, even in that context, if it's about that uncertainty of like, is this really a road that I want to go down? So I don't know, there was a melancholy in the Sonics too, which again, it makes sense, like, you know, saying that it's lonely living this way, but ultimately, you know, seeking connections, but then being uncertain of the degree to which they should exist. So yeah, let me know if I'm reading that wrong. Certainly, as I said, it's a tune that I feel like fits very easily into the, you know, synth pop, reggae pop vein that a number of their biggest hits do. So let me know if you agree. Let me know what you think of the album overall. Again, as we go through it, I feel like there's several tracks where, you know, if you scrambled sort of the dice of time and like some of these other hits were the ones that sort of caught, like, I don't think it would be surprising. Like, I feel it's so weird, and in some senses to me it sounds arbitrary which tunes sort of hit and which ones don't, and which become, you know, major featured radio tracks and which, you know, are sort of neglected, unfortunately. So in any case, I'll stop talking, but let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time. Peace.